Hello there, and welcome to Pink Milk, your Star Wars podcast for us superfans and those normally forced to listen. But today is someday, and someday I'm not forcing anybody to listen because I am speaking with Lauren and Andrea from the GALactic podcast, and we can talk Star Wars all day, every day. Get ready, it's that time to drink up. Hello there. I am your host, Brian. Normally, my husband's sitting here across the table from me, but he is not with us today, unfortunately. So he will be here soon because I know a lot of you all miss him. And if this is your first time listening, you would miss him because he's fantastic. He's just not here. But in his absence, I have not one, but two fantastic guests. I'm so excited for everyone to listen to my conversation with Lauren and Andrea from the GALactic podcast. It was so much fun. We had a little bit of interaction on Twitter here. We've had a fair amount. What are you talking about? A little bit. We've had a good amount of interaction on Twitter, and but I had never met either of them face to face or video to video in this instance, and I'm just tickled at how wonderful they really, really are. So this is a great conversation. While you're listening to us, make sure to head on over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review. It really helps get the word out. If you leave a written review, we love to read them here on air, so we'll read yours. And who doesn't want to hear my voice reading your words, right? Right? That's how I figure. We also have a YouTube channel if you haven't checked that out yet. It's over on Pink Milk Podcast on YouTube. And every Friday night, we have a late night live stream with our friends Mark and Emma. And we talk all sorts of things Star Wars, but we really take some deep dives. But it's always talking Star Wars queerly. Anyways, enough plugging. Get ready to listen to this great conversation. Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome, Lauren and Andrea from GALactic Podcast. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
So we were just chit-chatting before we hit the record button, and we were talking about our podcast, and all of us are right around the same time, almost coming up to the 2-year mark in about a few months. So it's been it's very exciting, and I hit record to ask a question, and now I forgot what I was going to say. So
that sounds like us. This is what happens when we record. I'm like, Andrea, how about, anyway, so let's talk about something else.
Here we go.
What I want to do.
How has your podcasting journey been? Because, Lauren, you run like a Facebook group, right?
I used to. I did, yeah. I was part of a Star Wars Facebook group for a while. It was a lot of fun. But I liked podcasting. Like once me and Andrea started in 2019, I just kind of wanted to focus my whole energy on it. And I love it. It's a lot of fun. I don't think I would have got into it if I wasn't a part of that Facebook group. Like it kind of got me into that type of community and then pushed me into like this podcasting stuff. So yeah, I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. Andrew, how about you?
Lauren just dragged me into all of this, honestly.
That's fair, because I did. That's an honest answer.
I had, a pretty hardcore Star Wars movie obsession, and Lauren was kind of like, come this way. We're going to learn a whole bunch of new things, like with books and shows. And I'm like, man, I don't think so, man. But, it's been really great ever since we started the podcast. Just the amount of Star Wars knowledge, that I've taken in and Lauren's taken in. It's been great. And the people that we've met, it's been outstanding. So it's still weird.
No, I agree. It is weird. It is weird. Like just because I've said this before and Andrea knows this. Like I'm such an introvert, like having people like listen to us. Like I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like, it's just like an awkward thing, but I'm very proud of what we've been doing. Like, I think we have been putting out really good content and just having a lot of fun with our takes on Star Wars, just like you guys do too, Brian. So
thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. So you had the familial, like, I'm bringing you in and you can't say no because I told you to,
Yeah.
I always joke that we worked real hard to fight for marriage, and I was going to take every advantage of it, and a ring went on my finger, and now you have to come on.
Nice.
This is what we fought for.
I love it.
But it works. And, when we started, I was like, it's really important to us when we, especially when it's Tom and I, when we do our show, that that we want people to feel like they're at our kitchen table. Like, we're just us. That's who we are. And we're just having a conversation. I mean, if our listeners listen to the show all the time, I mean, I would say Tom and I talk about 20% Star Wars and the rest is just kind of our life. But it's always how Star Wars makes me think of all those things is kind of how our show ends up turning out. And it's been so funny, like, even how much he's grown from it, because we're both, I'm not shy. I wouldn't say I'm a shy person, but I'm more of a wallflower. And I agree with you 100%, Lauren. Like, having people listen, it was uncomfortable at the beginning.
Right.
Now I'm kind of used to it. And I think it would be weird to not have that. And when we started doing the live streams, that was another, like, step up, because I get very emotional on the podcast as it is. And I'm like, okay, I am fine crying now on the podcast. I had to get used to that real quick, but I cannot do it on the live stream when there's, like, people in the chat and it's live. I'm like, I'm dreading the day that I just lose it, which I think I've come close times, but
I'm gonna hold it together.
It's something about Star Wars. I think I came to this epiphany on the live stream for me. Like, Star Wars is how I've got all that dumb, like, I'm a guy and I can't show emotion, and then you throw being a gay dude on top of it, and it's riddled with unnecessary layers of stuff that shouldn't be there, but it's there anyways. Right. And Star Wars is the only way I think I can tap in to, like, certain emotional things. Like, I think it's what's held me to it all the time. So then when I start talking about it, it just, like, it's like waves of water just slapping against me every once in a while. I'm like, oh my God, here it is. I've been pushing this down for 25 years, but here it is now.
Just because I talk about Star Wars, here we go. That's fair.
The way BB-8 rolled on that thing, I remember this time I was a child and I rolled over the thing and I was like, and then it all comes out.
Triggers, man. Star Wars.
Exactly.
Triggers.
So, Lauren, you were pretty involved in the Star Wars community ahead of time, right? Before this?
Yeah, I mean, I think right around when the sequel trilogy came out for me, I got into it a little bit more. And that's when I found like YouTube channels and different people that were talking about Star Wars. And then I joined the Facebook group and did all that. So I kind of got deeper and deeper into the community at large, which I was not aware of how, like, I understood. I think we understand as fans, like, it's a big deal, right? I mean, Star Wars is a big deal. It's a huge franchise, huge IP. But to, like, experience it on a level to where people fight about, like, if Han shot first or not, like, I was not prepared for all that kind of stuff. Like, it was just, like, mind blowing. I'm like, why are people arguing, like, about this? I don't understand what's going on here. But it's cool because you meet people who are as passionate as you are, you know. And, you know, I was fortunate enough to go to Celebration 18 now? Yeah, geez.
Yeah, you could maybe stop dropping it.
Well, you know, I have
it's getting kind of old.
I haven't done it recently in our episodes. I will
You're
say,
right.
I've kept it under control.
But so now you're going to come on to somebody else.
Yeah,
you're going to come on to somebody else's show and rub it in that person's face too.
And I'm wearing. We haven't been.
And I'm wearing the shirt too, which is ironic right now. It's so ironic. But anyway, so I went to Celebration Chicago, and that's a whole different experience too. If you haven't, you know, if you haven't been to a Celebration, I highly recommend it. I know Andrea and I'm getting her to one, hopefully 2022. It's an amazing experience because, you know, you see what happens online and you see all the vitriol and all that, all the BS, to be honest, with the fandom at times. But you get everybody in a room like that, in a convention like that, and it's just so different. The vibe was so different. Everybody just loved being there because they loved this franchise. Doesn't matter how you liked it, why you joined it. People just loved that camaraderie, that camaraderie with other people who love this franchise as much as you do. It was an amazing experience. So yeah, and then joining this podcast community has been, really a lot of fun for me. And I think I can speak for Andrea because again, we wouldn't be able to meet people like you, Brian, or a lot of other podcasters who just, enjoy Star Wars because they love it so much.
100%. How about you, Andrea? What was it like for you?
Shocking. I was quite naive when I got on Star Wars Twitter and started like, oh, this person has a Star Wars handle and this person has a Star Wars icon profile picture and yeah. And then
I was like, Andrea, hold on. You can't follow that person. Unfollow. Don't do that.
I did not know what the fandom menace was. I didn't know that I knew that there were people that didn't like certain movies and didn't like certain trilogies. I did not know that there were people who, in their pastime, took it upon themselves to actually like tear apart those things that they didn't like. It was kind of shocking to me. It didn't make sense. Still doesn't make sense. Why take that much time and effort into something that you hate? I don't get it, but whatever. So getting into the fandom is hard, I think, when you were just a fan that knew what you enjoyed, knew what you disliked, and you were okay with what you disliked, and you didn't want to force anybody into it. And then to get into the fandom and all of a sudden your own perceptions of what you loved and cared about are starting to be challenged. It's really difficult, I think, to be in the fandom. But there are like these very small, great pockets. It's like life, Yep. So I don't know. It's definitely an experience. Sometimes I want to just completely back out of it, but being in the thick of the podcasting world is just a great experience. Like Lauren said, to meet new friends, to connect with people that you never would have connected with before, to learn new perspectives on Star Wars and to get new knowledge in on it. It's just been absolutely fascinating. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. It comes and it goes. It's whatever, it's ebbs and flows, all that stuff. So I sometimes have a really hard time in this fandom. But, I try not to take everything too seriously, just like Star Wars.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not really knee deep in many other things. Like I have never, Star Wars has always been around. I never left it. Like even when there was nothing, it was still, but I didn't have a community of people, which I've talked about a lot. Like before I started podcasting, it was always just my thing. I was always that guy who went too far in Star Wars and it was like, oh, don't ask Brian a question because you're going to be sitting here for 45 minutes when all you want to know is, should I see the movie or not?
Yeah.
But that was us with our family members.
Yeah, we're all that. I remember that and you guys, y'all talk about that in your show and it's hilarious because exactly. It's like you're that person. I feel like a Saturday Night Live thing where you have like this rappel on and there's all these people walking. They start to come in the boop and they turn around and walk the other way because they're like, I ain't getting involved. And then you come to this and I didn't know. I'm not great on social media. Like Facebook, I post pictures of my kids so I can have like 1 year ago you were doing this. Like that's what it is for me. I don't use it for a lot of other things. And so I joined Twitter for the podcast and it was right around the Rise of Skywalker. And I was like, oh, and again, I knew all these things that you're talking about the Han shop first. I know there's an argument, but I'm like, right. There's like a real argument. It isn't funny.
It goes deep.
Yeah, I was like,
it's deep.
I always thought it was funny. I remember the hatred of the prequels. I mean,
right.
I had those conversations in a comic book shop. That's where But then I was like, this is just a very, our world was very little back then. That was like the one comic book shop that you hung out at. And so there was the 3 people who hated the prequels and did nothing but. And I naively thought it was just those 3 people, But I'm with you. Then I don't understand the hate that gets in. I'm like, do y'all not watch the movie? Did y'all not listen to Yoda? That's easy and more seductive, but it's not good. Yeah. So you have to work to not be like that. But I do not understand it. We're lucky that we haven't had much. Around December, we got some very horrible, mean things and it threw me off for probably like a month. I was just wounded and I was angry, but I was also like, what did I do wrong in this situation? Which I don't think we did. And it was just like, it is what it is. We got through it, but it was hard to deal with. And I'm different now after that. So maybe it was a good experience overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Like now I know how it would move when inevitably it happens again. So
what's funny is that, and I think Andrea and I have talked about this. I don't know if on the podcast, but we've definitely talked about where, we have like our opinion, like, when we first saw The Rise of Skywalker, her and I, had our opinions. And then you go online and you see other people saying different things and you're just like, did I miss something?
Right. Did I watch something wrong?
Yeah. Like what? I enjoyed this part, but people are hating that part. I don't understand. Like I'm questioning my Star Wars fan card. Like, should I be turning it in? What is happening? But, I think like Andrea has told me, she's like, at the end of the day, it's how we enjoy Star Wars. It doesn't matter what other people think. And that's, I think, like you said earlier, Brian, like I think that's how Andrea and I try to do our podcast, where we just sit down and, we want it to feel like people are sitting with us and just enjoying us talking about Star Wars. It doesn't matter what we're saying or what our take is. It's just a friendly back and forth and like a kind of in that type of environment. But it is. Star Wars Twitter is a thing. It's something that I was blissfully unaware until I joined it. And then I was like, oh man, I definitely jumped into the deep end of the ocean on this one, but you take the bad with the good, like Andrea said earlier. You take the bad with the good, and you enjoy it for what it is. And people are going to hate it for different reasons. Doesn't matter. You just have to stick to your guns. And I think that's what her and I try to do with our podcast, is that we stick to what we know we enjoy and what we want to push out. And, we don't want to push out the hate. We might not love and enjoy every single thing of Star Wars. We have said that in our podcast, I think, numerous times. But we're not going to waste our energy, just like you guys, Brian. Like, we're not going to waste our energy and just talk about how this part really was, like, terrible in this movie, or the prequels this, the sequel trilogy that, Clone Wars. Like, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. So we that's not what we want to do, and that's what we kind of try to, portray on our podcast for sure.
The other thing I always have in the back of my mind is I never want to ruin someone else's experience. Exactly, I don't want my opinion to hurt someone else's, something that they connected with. Like, what's the point in that? If I didn't like that, I don't even know, whatever. Yeah. I'm just not here to tell someone that they did it wrong. I just am not anymore. Part of my life, I was absolutely like that. And I loved getting into fights, and I loved getting into arguments and debates, and this is why you're wrong and this is why I'm right. I just can't do that anymore. I'll give you my opinion on what I like, and if you don't, all right, I don't need you to come back at me for anything, because I'm not going to come back at you. I'm just not. There are very little things that I can get into an argument about anymore. And it's just because you can't change people's opinions that way ever. They come into their own realization on their own, just like I did in Star Wars. I mean, I really did hate the prequels when we first started this podcast. I was like, I don't like watching Revenge of the Sith. I was like, I only like The Phantom Menace because when I first saw it, I enjoyed it. The other two I did not. So therefore, I want nothing to do with them anymore. I promise you, I watch Revenge of the Sith at least 3 times a week. Just hands down. Yep. It's my favorite movie right now. That's awesome. It's because through other people's opinions, not telling me that I had to like it in a different way. But once I got enough of those opinions and I let it saturate into my mind, I came to the realization on my own, wow, this really isn't that bad. And I need to look at it a different way. Mm-hmm. So that's really why I don't argue anymore.
Yep. I love what you just said. Like, that is the key. I enjoy, like, that was something I had to learn with Twitter. Like, I am a person who, I am that person who actively goes out and seeks people who are different than me, because I find it interesting to learn, to see the world or see something through a different set of eyes. It's interesting.
Right.
And it helps us grow as people, right? So I was under the wrong assumption that you could do that on Twitter. And I remember, like, having a conversation, I mean, on our podcast, I've mentioned this all the time. I went through the 5 stages of grief with The Rise of Skywalker. It is the only Star Wars movie I didn't like. I loved it when I first saw it because of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I will always come back to, it gave me Rey Skywalker at the end. And for me, that speaks to my family and my life experience so much that it means absolutely everything to me. And it is one of my favorite moments of all of Star Wars. But I've learned to who I can engage with, because at the end of the day, I want to love The Rise of Skywalker. I want to like it. So show me things that I'm not seeing. Show me something that I'm seeing one way and show me another way to look at it and go, oh, I can hop on board with that. I can't necessarily hop on board with that, but this person over here said that, and that's amazing. And just like you learn to see it differently and get the things that you either didn't get flat out, or just like, I enjoy that look more than mine, because I love Star Wars and I want to love all of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And it's not hard. It's so much more fun to live your life that way.
Yeah, it really is. Right.
I don't.
Right. It was
maybe
fun.
It's our age. I don't know. 25 is, we learn a lot.
Oh my God. Years. When I was in my 20s, I was the worst. Like, honestly. And that's when I saw the prequels. So I'm sorry. I absolutely hated it. I was just like, nope.
And it's fun too. Like, kind of what Andrea's saying is that when we first started this podcast, she knew about the Clone Wars because her son wasn't, he watched it, but she never watched it. And I watched it and obviously fell in love with it. So like seeing her start getting into that material more in the books and everything like that, it was a cool experience for me, because it was almost her kind of seeing the bigger, this whole other side of Star Wars that I was unaware of as well until I started watching, and then I got Andrea into it. And obviously here we are 3 years later talking about it on a podcast. But, it's kind of those moments where you do see something different from other people like we're talking about. And it's nice because it does kind of open your whole perception of something that you never thought of in Star Wars. We were talking to Amy Ratcliffe, and I can't remember what Andrea said something about. I think it was about Ahsoka,
about Anakin and Ahsoka,
Anakin and Ahsoka. And I love, and Andrea and I have always talked, so I kind of knew like her thoughts on that, on those two. And she brought this kind of idea up to Amy, and Amy was like, "Man," she's like, "I never thought about it that way." So again, you can be a fan for all your life, and you're going to learn something new when you talk to people in different areas and different aspects. So it is amazing for sure.
And Amy's just wonderful. Anyway,
oh my God, I know.
She's the best. Like, honestly,
she really
Amy is the best. Like,
she's
hands
great.
Hands down.
That's one of the things that I love. Like, I wish I never had a Star Wars community, like I said. And when I think about the Clone Wars, which is like my favorite of all Star Wars, like everyone who listens knows, I think it's the foundation of Star Wars. I wish I would have had a community, like I wish I had that. I'm also glad I didn't have one in some ways, because I loved Ahsoka the second she came out and threw out Sky Guy, which I think is so fantastic. And I know that is like
I love that too.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? No. You don't talk to him that way. Who are you?
This is Anakin Skywalker. Not Sky Guy.
Yeah,
like, I walked into my son's room and like saw like a little bit of it. I'm like, I don't like this. This isn't my Star Wars. Goodbye.
Yeah.
But now you love it, and that's
now
what
I
happens.
It's so good. But I wish I had a community then, like, to talk about it, because it was always just mine. And it's one of the greatest gifts that this podcast also brought, because we started it kind of knowing The Rise of Skywalker was coming out, that The Mandalorian was coming out, that Star Wars was now going to be indefinite, which I'm still not even like totally like I can't comprehend that because I'm used to 10, 15-year gaps. But
very true.
Like, I'm here for it, but it's going to be different. But when we started watching Mandalorian, and Tom, who has always been like, well, I always thought I was a Star Wars fan until I met you. And then I guess I never was. I'm like, well, of course you are. But he was really excited. He's like, but we're both the same now. Like, this is off over here and we're the same. Like, you don't know more than I do about this show. And so he was so stoked on it. And, then season 2 came. We all know what happened in season 2. And like, at the end of season 1, that Darksaber came out. I'm like, oh, here we go. Now we're getting into the weeds.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I'm living.
Yeah.
And Tom still enjoys it. So I know they're doing something right because like he doesn't know who Thrawn is. He doesn't, we're getting there because now he wants to watch Rebels. And it was his idea. He's like, can we watch the Star Wars Rebels? It seems like it was a really important show. I'm
God,
like,
I love Rebels.
what? Okay, here we go. But it's exciting because now he's into it. And, our kids are into it. That was the first thing. It was weird to share Star Wars. It was weird for me to like, and one of, the other two are forced to listen as well. But our son Michael is like really into it. But it's exciting. Like when he was 4 and watching it and how he would interpret everything, I'm just like, oh, like it is like, it brings me warm feelings to my heart, as Yoda would say. And like to see all of that. Now we get to do this and the podcast has become like this family thing. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait for like our kids at someday, we will no longer be here in this realm, right? But there'll be these audio files of their dads talking about them all the time and how much we love them and all the things. And it like I love that was like an afterthought. Once it all left, I was like, oh, this is going to be something for our kids to listen to later, that we will always be there for however long this ship runs. They'll have all that there, and I'm really excited about that because most of us don't get that opportunity to hear our parents talking about us when we're little. And it's going to be cool.
That's awesome. I love that. That's what Star Wars is, right? I mean, in reality, it is kind of tapping into like your childlike wonder. And then, as everybody knows, George Lucas has said, it's for the kids.
Yep.
It's for kids. Like this is what Star Wars is meant to be. So it just makes me laugh when, these 60-some-year-old men get mad on Twitter.
Are they 60?
I mean, well, you never know, but like, the whole Phantom Menace thing, like these people get so angry about, something so silly, or, they want to take this hard stance and, Star Wars Disney. I'm just like, why? And you guys are wasting your energy. You must be liking it because you waste a lot of time talking about how much crap it, that you want to throw at it. But I don't understand why. Like, it blows my mind. So
just go find something. Like, I'm not into anything else. Are other fandoms like this? Is the MCU like this? Because from the outside,
kind of a little bit. Like I was telling Lauren when we first started, like I'm a huge Dave Matthews Band fan, and when they're touring, they never play the same set list over and over again. They're not a band that does it. It's just a new set list every single time. And back in the day, you wouldn't get repeats within like a 4 or 5 a shot. Now you get more repeats, and people are just so harsh on in the fandom, like in these Facebook groups and on these message boards about what the band has become, how it's not what it used to be, what a terrible set list. I would be pissed if I went to that. And it's like, dude, eventually we're not going to be able to see a Dave Matthews Band concert. And how are you going to feel when that happens? Like, enjoy what you're getting. Dave's not up there like trying to piss us off and be like, man, I'm going to play Where Are You Going again and make that dude bro really mad. He doesn't care. He just wants to play Where Are You Going because he likes it.
Right.
But there are some fandoms where there are pockets of people that just like staying in that fandom to let people know that they like things the wrong way. Strange.
Yeah, I agree. To me, it seems Star Wars is just it's just bizarre. Maybe just because we are all in it, kind of in that deeper sense, kind of like you're saying, Brian. Like, I'm a huge MCU fan. Like, I love all the MCU movies, the WandaVision show. Like, I love all of it. I don't dive into it really deep like I do with Star Wars. So, you know, I would assume, though, that their Twitter is probably a wreck as well sometimes.
It is. There's gatekeepers in there as well, too. And there are always going to be people that say you're doing it wrong. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't understand those people that are mad at Disney. I'm like, I feel like
there
a lot of them
would be no Star Wars right now.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they would understand that there would be nothing for them to complain about if
it would still be bitching about George Lucas.
They'd be still fighting about who that Han shot first. Like, that would still be a debate going on right now, for sure.
Andrew, you're right. They were also probably the same ones that ran George Lucas off to begin with. Who didn't write the sequel trilogy. You're like, I just met this woman. I'm about to get married. I'm going to have a child. I'm not going through this again when I have this really new life that I have over here. I'm going to go enjoy that. So let me just sell it. And like, clearly, we all now are starting to hear tidbits of the story.
Yeah.
And George Lucas loved this. He had a hard time walking away from it every single time, which is why he ended up directing the prequels, you know, like himself. Right. And it was not easy for him to sell it. No, it was not easy for him to see what Disney did. I'm sure it would be very, very difficult as an artist to go, okay, this isn't going the way I thought it would go. And you know what? If you're a person who doesn't like where it's going anymore, then maybe just say, hey, I love the original trilogy. I love the prequels, and those are my movies, and that's what I'm going to enjoy. And maybe just don't watch anymore, or watch and go, it's fine.
Right.
Like I said, I am not a fan of The Rise of Skywalker, but I'm proud of the fact that like some of our like most loyal listeners are huge Rise of Skywalker fans. So like, I'm like, at least I can talk about it in a healthy manner that I'm not pushing them away. That I'm really trying to get to the place that I can really enjoy it because I want to. Not sure if I'm going to be able to because it's been, you know, a year and a half now. But it still gave me Rey Skywalker, and I will watch that part all day long. And I love all of the characters from the sequel trilogy is fun and it's great.
It really is.
For the most part.
It's funny that people get upset about the little things, and then, you know, they will like stand on that hill. And even when they are shown like a different way or like a different, like, oh, well, you know, maybe you guys could have thought of it. Like they are just not the type of people that can just agree to disagree. Like that's where I miss is just people being able to say, you know what? Yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. I understand your viewpoint. I respect it. I just, you know, it's just not how I think of it, and just move on. Like, it's not that hard to do, but we have lost that for sure. The ability to just like, scroll, you know, keep scrolling and just move on with our life, and, you know, not let people, you know, dictate how we feel about certain things. So it's a mess. But, you know, it's really funny that you brought the Rise of Skywalker. So we did, as you guys did too, like a recap of the movie as an episode. And that is still our most downloaded episode.
And it's because we were super honest about it.
We were.
We were like, Right.
We gave our honest opinions. I mean, we, you know, there were things that her and we liked. We enjoyed. There's a lot of things that we did. And there were things that we were just like, I did not like that way. I mean, I've been vocal about, I would have loved the Rey from Nowhere thread. I loved that thread. That was the thread that I really enjoyed through the sequel trilogy. But like you said, Brian, you love that she became Rey Skywalker, and I do, and I dig it too, for sure.
Yeah,
you know, and that's okay. Me personally, I like it, and I have no problem that she's a Skywalker or whatever. But I love, you know, that thread of her being from nowhere and not being related to Palpatine. I would have loved that more.
Duel of Fates.
Well, we're not going to talk about that. So, you know, there's things that, you know, we did in our episode. We were very honest about how we interpreted the movie, but we didn't bash it. We weren't just like, this sucks, Disney sucks, you know, boycott, cancel your Disney Plus, you know,
JJ
like,
this, JJ that.
JJ this, JJ that, you know, like why waste our time and energy on something that, again, you can't change. You're not going to change it. You're not going to go, you know, and tell Disney, you need to redo this entire trilogy. and they're going to be like, oh, okay. No, they're not. They don't care. They already got your money. You went and saw the movie, and I guarantee you saw it more than once, fanboys. So get over it. And you have a subscription to Disney Plus. So yeah, you're really sticking it to them. So don't understand. Don't tell me that.
I've listened to YouTube. Disney Plus is on the verge of collapsing now because there's so many people who left it. So honestly, enjoy WandaVision now. We got it. Because I'm not sure episode 8's coming out. It might not happen.
It's just it just blows my mind. Like sometimes where people just think like, oh, I'm going to stick it to them. And, you know what? Disney's like, okay, cool. I have 94.999 more billion people subscribed than you. So I'm okay.
But think about it. So they all boycotted Solo, right? And Solo's numbers were subpar. And they all believe it's them, but there were a lot of different factors that came into what it was the time of the release. It was the fact that it was kind of released half a year off of another release. You know, Star Wars was a little saturated in that moment. Maybe there was a small chunk of people that said, I don't like this, so I'm not going to go see any more Star. Maybe a small chunk. But the thing is like, really? Do you really think you had that large of an impact? Because there were plenty of people, there were probably 90% of people that were in that theater that had no idea that there was a boycott going on Solo. Absolutely not. So
I took 3 friends of mine that I guarantee if I told them that, when we saw that movie,
there was a boycott.
They're going to be like, no, there wasn't.
Right.
And those boycotters went at 10 a.m. with their sunglasses on and a trench coat to watch it, but then went on to Twitter, I will never see this movie.
Right.
Awful.
They saw it.
Everything that happened in it.
They saw it just so they could go on Twitter and say they hated it. Like, what's your point? You just gave your money to them. So what are you doing? Like, it just...
And Solo's so perfect.
I love Solo.
I loved that movie. I saw it, I think, 2 or 3 times in the theaters. It's such a fun... Yeah, it was a fun movie. And
it's so great.
Again, like Andrew said, I mean... so many variables within that whole thing.
I think the marketing department killed that movie. That's what happened.
Yeah, that too.
Movie. A lot of it.
And you're right. I think Star Wars, when we come back in 2022, it is going to be so big. I believe Star Wars movies need a break.
Oh yeah, we kind of talked about that.
And the Solo title. I think a big problem was the title. Look how many of us will sit there and analyze the title of a Star Wars movie when they release it 2 months. We're like, what does this mean? We write the script. This is what it is. So, well, there you go. There's no mystery attached to it. There's nothing. Like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, people were mad about Rogue One because it didn't have a crawl, and then they put one in Solo, and people were like, "Oh, I didn't like what? You can't say you didn't want something, and then they kind of gave it to you, and then you're like, no, that's not what I wanted. You're like, just stop, just stop.
I'm with you.
I don't understand it.
I'm with you. So we're talking a lot about Disney. What do you think are the differences of each of the trilogies? Andrew was saying how, back then you didn't particularly like the prequels, which the prequels are very different than the original trilogy. The original trilogy is very different than the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy is very different than the prequel trilogy. They all have their own unique feel, which personally I love. I think for me, it makes the world and the galaxy so much richer when you can have very different takes in the same place. It's not the same, it's not the same thing. So what do you think are some of those differences? What made the original trilogy so unique? And this was, 1977. It didn't look like anything else, but it has to be more than that because it's still standing up. You don't watch it. Well, I was going to say you don't watch it and go, this was made in the 1977, but we just had a person on a few weeks ago talking about fan fiction, and she had never really seen the original trilogy until recently. She's like, oh, this looks like it was made in the 70s. I'm like, oh,
really?
Okay. I don't see it that way. But what do you two think about what makes them so unique? Or what is your big takeaway from each one, maybe?
With me, the original trilogy just has a feeling. I don't know how to explain that. It's almost like the Force. It's just, you watch it, I watch it, and I'm teleported back into my youth. Honest to God, every time. And I can't even explain the original trilogy because it is so important to me. Like sitting on the carpet floor with a console television, with a glass bottle Coke and popcorn with my sister, and Darth Vader comes on and we throw popcorn at the screen. Like, that's the feeling. And then the way it translated into our lives when we were kids and the way we played and, how we spent our time together and stuff like that. Like, that's why, like, the sound of a lightsaber igniting does something for me, like, every single time. And it's because it was so ingrained into our youth that I can't help but feel like it's a part of me every time I watch the original trilogy. For me, the original trilogy is a feeling. Hands down.
Yeah, I kind of go with Andrea. Like, it's just something that I remember from, my childhood, just watching. Like, especially Empire Strikes Back. For some reason, that movie really sticks with me. The whole beginning sequence on Hoth. Like, that will be ingrained in my memory for the rest of my life, because it's just, you were transported into a completely different world, for me. Like, that's how I felt. Like, I was watching something happening in a place that, I didn't live on, but it felt real. It felt so real that you were just like, man, this is something. Like, it just takes you back to, like Andrea was saying, your childhood, and kind of, like her and I used to hang out and play with, she had all the cool toys. She had all the cool Kenner stuff. We used to play with our old Fisher and Paykel golf stuff. And one was red, one was green. Who was going to be Luke? Who was going to be Vader? Like, you just remember that stuff. And that's what I think the original trilogy for me kind of takes me back to, is just like those memories, that time of just kind of being, just enjoying, being a kid, really, in all honesty.
Yeah, I love that y'all are talking about, like, the toys and stuff, because I think, you hear a lot of cynicism about, especially once Return of the Jedi came with the Ewoks, which I don't understand why anyone hates the Ewoks and what they're
I can't get over that.
I love my murder
They are perfect.
I wish I had one.
But the toys are so important. They are part of the storytelling process, because these movies, like, I don't necessarily think they are for kids. And I know what George says, but I think they're for the kid in all of us. That to me is what
100%,
they are. And that's what they're targeted for. And they hit those feels. Like you said, like you've been saying, it's a feeling. It is a part of who you are, but it's because of those connections. And Star Wars is so good at talking about trauma and talking about life and teaching all of us the wonder of what's to come ahead, but remaining grounded in where you are. That is Luke's entire journey. Be excited of what is yet to come, but remember where you are, because that's the only way you're actually going to get there. And you need to learn the experiences along the way. And we talk about those things when we're kids, when we're playing with our toys. Now, as a father, toys aren't the big thing necessarily anymore. And it isn't just Star Wars. All these people who think it's toys are not what they used to be, but cosplay is. We didn't have all those masks. We got Halloween. We got one time a year we could go buy a costume. That was the only time you ever saw anything. And once it was done, it was done.
Right.
But now I see my kids, who again are like, every child in Star Wars is a foster kid in some way, shape, or form. And now I have those kids who lived that life that all of our characters in a galaxy far, far away. And I watch and I listen to them processing some of those things while my son has a Mandalorian costume on and he's rescuing Baby Yoda. And I listen to him speaking about Grogu the way I think he feels about when he came here. And it's this beautiful thing, but that's what Star Wars taps into. And it is so amazing. And I think about this a lot because Sex and the City is another thing that I love. It's one of my 3 S's and it's great. And in the first movie, there is a line where, Jennifer Hudson's character is with this boyfriend and Carrie is trying to help her out. And she gets this text. They meet at a late night bar and Jennifer Hudson's like, Louise, that's her name. Louise is like, oh, I don't understand. And Carrie's like, well, this is what the text says, but the subtext of the text is this. And Star Wars, and in particular, in my opinion, the original trilogy, there's so much subtext underneath the text. And then we get to the prequel trilogy where it's all the subtext. It's all right there. It's just laid out. It is so rich and it is so dense. And I am a huge fan of the writing in the prequels, which I know gets a lot of like lash, right? But there's really, really, really complex things going on. Mm-hmm. And I can watch a 5, 6, 7-year-old watch those movies and understand everything. So if we wanted this rich this rich dialogue that we're all thinking that we should have gotten, my kids wouldn't understand what was going on because it's really complicated. It is a very, very, very complicated story. So George Lucas is an amazing writer of how he wants to tell stories. Do I think that, but that's what he does. He writes this genre, this thing, and no one can do it better to me. Like that is like the sequel trilogy is different, but George Lucas didn't write them. And that's okay. But they are not George Lucas written stories. The themes are kind of there, and I think they will get better. I hope. I look at The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, again, is so simple on its surface, but there is so much there. And I love The Mandalorian. Like, Din Djarin has become my third god of like this trifecta of Star Wars beings that I look up to. He's so good. And it wasn't until like I would like when I first watched The Mandalorian, it was cool. It was great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would say like a year later, right as we were ramping up for our roundtables and discussing it before season 2, when I started thinking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this has affected me on levels that I didn't know it hit me. Mm-hmm. And that to me is what Star Wars is. That's why I like a break. I need a break to have that subtext like kind of sink in. And but
no, yeah, I 100% agree, Brian, because I think that's what a lot of people, see Star Wars on surface levels. Mm. They don't see the deeper meanings, the deeper themes that are really ingrained into Star Wars, like you're saying, specifically with George, with the original and the prequel trilogy. Those themes are there if you really look hard enough. There are some really deep themes. Family. I mean, one of my favorite, and I agree, Mandalorian has so many great themes within it. And one of my favorite things coming from The Mandalorian is the making of season 1. And when Dave Filoni went from Phantom Menace and connected it all the way to Return of the Jedi, I mean, talk about a guy that gets it, like gets what George was doing, 100%, and to lay it out in a way that I think the general audience can be like, oh man, yeah, like that, I totally missed all that. That's one thing I think when I got into Star Wars, more deep, is that I missed like so many, like, listening to different podcasts and listening to different people. I missed so many themes when I first, got into Star Wars and watching it. And as I got older, life experience changed. So then you start seeing it differently. Then you hear people's experiences, and like you were saying, Brian, like the experiences change you and they change how you see things. And then you see Star Wars in a totally different light. And the themes are there, like you're saying. That's one thing I think George doesn't get enough credit. His directing style might be a little hit and miss, let's be honest with it. But his writing, his storytelling specifically, is probably some of the best that we will ever get. I mean, I'm talking, it's up with Tolkien, it's up with George R.R. Martin in Game of Thrones, like that type of storytelling, that deep, deep storytelling. I don't think, he's one of the best. He really is. You can't argue with that at all. And like you said, and I think they tried to do that with the sequel trilogy for sure. They tried to keep those themes and hit and miss. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, some movies hit it, some movies didn't. There's things that we all liked about it, but still those themes, they did try to keep that theme of kind of family within Star Wars. Like, I think that was a theme that I definitely took out of the sequel trilogies. They kept that theme of family, which is huge. I mean, Rebels, my God, Rebels. I love that show. That's probably my favorite Star Wars is Rebels. Like I could watch that. I watch it all the time. I throw it on because I love what they do with that entire cast of characters, what they do with that show. and the different themes within that show is off the charts. And again, that's because Dave Filoni, he understood, he was George's right-hand man. He was his Padawan, and he learned from George, and he knew exactly how to tell a story like that. And he did it beautifully. And I think that's what continues within The Mandalorian, too, for sure. So that's why I get excited for, what they're going to do with The Mandalorian show, the Ahsoka show, the Boba Fett show. You got all these, different shows coming out that Dave is involved. And I feel a lot better knowing that, for me personally, anyway.
Yep, 100%.
The thing that when I think about the feeling that I get with the prequels, like now the prequels are like an encyclopedia to me. It just has so much knowledge that I can open up like every single time that I watch it, and I learn new things. When I first saw the prequels, I took it at that surface level. I just wanted to see Anakin Skywalker turn into Darth Vader, And I expected Anakin Skywalker to be a certain way, not a kid, not a whiny teenager, And when that was the Star Wars that was presented to me, I was like, I don't like this at all. No, thank you. And then when it was about a war, and it was about trade routes, and when it was about and then when the Jedi Council wasn't what I expected it to be, when there were these crotchety old men sitting in a circle, like saying you can't do it that way, I was like, I don't like Jedi at all. These are Jedi. Like, I want nothing to do with these guys. Like, and so now when I get the subtext of it, and luckily we got it through the Clone Wars, the animated series, it completely changes for me. I was watching Revenge of the Sith the other day, and I was getting emotional when Order 66 was happening. And I've watched it so many times, even since the Siege of Mandalore. But for some odd reason, all of a sudden, the feeling of Anakin knowing the love of his life was going to die, like, could you imagine what that feels like to know that someone that you feel like you can't live without is about to leave your life? That has to be heart-wrenching and just absolutely gut-wrenching, and you just don't know what to do. And unfortunately, he just did not have the right people around him to say, hey, like, this, like, and you get a little bit of that moment when him and Yoda are in meditation and they're talking to each other, but it's so baseline. And you can just like tell it wasn't what he needed, and Obi-Wan wasn't what he needed, and Mace Windu wasn't what he needed. And it's gut wrenching to see him lose his way. And I have never felt that while watching that movie until 2 days ago. And that's what I love about the prequels, is that it evolves for me so many different times. And it's because of, one, taking in other people's opinions of it, and also getting more information through literature and shows and other podcasts and, some of the YouTubers and stuff like that. But the prequels, man, I'm telling you, I didn't like them. I was like, no. It was funny. I was telling Lauren, my sister, who's a pretty big like Star Wars fan, she gets geeked over Star Wars. I was like, oh man, Hayden Christensen's going to be in Kenobi. And she was like, I hate that guy. I hate him. He's terrible. He was terrible as Anakin Skywalker. I don't want to. And I was like, really? Like, come on.
Let me tell you about the lawless.
Let me tell you about the lawless.
It's so funny because, like, I remember, I'm sure it was Entertainment Weekly. We knew Phantom Menace was the name of that movie. We're all like, oh my God, that's dark. That's so awesome. It's so 90s. There's going to be like chains and big capes. It's going to be awesome. And then we get the crawl release, like whatever it was, X amount of time before the movie. We're like, trade routes?
Yeah.
What? What? But, and I still remember, like, I miss those days when you wait in line for like 10, 12 hours to see the movie. I miss it.
Yeah.
I remember it very well for the Phantom Menace. It was like, we never thought we were going to get them. Here they are. And I remember going to that first 10 minutes of that movie and that weird feeling of like,
that's how I felt in Attack of the Clones.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I was so I was so upset that I didn't like a Star Wars. Like, I was like, oh my God, I don't like this. Like, oh my God, what do I do? What happens when I leave the theater? Do I say I don't like it? Oh my God, it's Star Wars. I don't know what to do.
That was me with The Rise of Skywalker for sure. Because I still don't love the opening of The Phantom Menace. It's like it was.
I like it now. I love it.
No, the movie's fantastic. And Attack of the Clones, like that still is the movie. Like it is probably my number 2 favorite Star Wars of any Star Wars. Like I love it.
I love it.
I have too many emotional attachments to Return of the Jedi that I don't think it's that feeling that y'all were talking about. Like I can never not be my number 1. But Attack of the Clones is right there. I've seen that movie. I was younger, so, life doesn't look the same. But I saw it like 20 plus times in the movie theater. Like I saw it over and over and I love it. Like to me, it is very much like Return of the Jedi, which is also, I love Return of the Jedi and Attack of the Clones because they are the most Star Wars for me. Like you get everything. You get really emotional stuff. You get amazing lightsaber battles. You get creatures all over the place. You get this complexity of and because in that moment, in Return of the Jedi, Luke chooses the light side while he's battling his father. In Attack of the Clones, when he says goodbye to Padme and you get that amazing shot of like the Darth Vader shadow, Anakin Skywalker chooses the dark side in that moment. And there's these grappling, life-altering, forever, you will never be the same moments again in those 2 movies. But they're like crazy fun on top of it. And if you just want to like just throw popcorn back, they're just fun movies. But like they are like perfect Star Wars for me. They might not be perfect movies for everybody else, but they are perfect Star Wars for me. I love them. Like I go back to the prequels, I think, more than I do the original trilogy most of the time.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. Like I like the prequels. I remember watching them and enjoying them for what they were. Yeah, like you're saying, Brian, they might not have been my favorite, but again, like kind of what we were talking about earlier, like when you get older, you start appreciating what that meant and what the themes were in them, and you start seeing it differently. And then, like kind of Andrea said too, you hear other people talk about it, you see different opinions, and then you see it in a totally different way that you never saw it before. When you start enjoying it for what it is, like you're saying, it's sometimes you can just throw popcorn and enjoy it, but then there's moments like that moment like you just talked about when he went after to go see his mom, and he goes on that speeder, and that music drops too of like, oh my God, the Duel of the Fates. Like you can't, like you're just like, oh man, this is it. Like it's that that cue of John Williams being a freaking genius, and that cue of this is it. This is, part of his downward spiral of becoming, the guy behind the mask. And like you're saying, there's so many moments like that too within Star Wars. Like it's just, it's so good. It really is. This is why we're here. This is why we love to talk about it, because it's so good.
Yep. And Anakin was never the same after that moment. We see him in 2 movies, totally insecure, just like Luke, not sure what to do. And then he did that and he chopped off just enough heads to be like, I am a cocky dude. And that is why he fell. Like, oh, I'm going to go face Count Dooku. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to, from that point on. And until someone was better than him. And he saw Palpatine take out Mace like that. And he was like, oh, okay, well, here we go. I will fall back to my knees because I'm nothing again. And I'm about to lose the love of my life, and I will do anything. And, it's so funny, like how I just do not like the Jedi anymore. Like because of those movies, and it's evolved as as you get older,
right?
You see things differently. And Tom and I were just talking about this recently, like how much I've changed, and some of it is becoming a parent. And I just see all these kids and Ahsoka taught me everything, and my favorite Star Wars moment ever when she leaves the Order. And like, it is so powerful. I've talked about that so many times, but it is just like everything. But I see these Jedi, these kids taken away from their families. And that is so incredibly traumatic. And I live with that every single day of my life. And it might have been for life-saving reasons in our case, but it wasn't necessarily that way for the Jedi. And then they're just taken to this place where no one cares about them. And Anakin finally had someone who cared. You know, he lost his mother, who was the only other person who really cared. You know, had Qui-Gon not died, I think there would have been an amazing relationship there.
Yeah.
Because Qui-Gon did care. But he knew Qui-Gon for, a few days? And it was a life-changing few days, I'm sure. But they created Darth Vader just as much as Palpatine did. In my estimation, probably more so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
100%.
I think about the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian, which, let me tell you, I am a child of the 80s. Luke Skywalker is my hero. And to watch him take Grogu away, I am still livid. I am so mad at him taking Grogu away. Here's this kid for 50 years. No one loved him.
Yeah.
He was in the Jedi Temple. No one cared about him then. Then he was Lord knows how many pirates took him and kidnapped him and all. Lord knows what his life looked like. And he finally meets Din, who loves him, and that is his son. There's such a powerful moment when he's watching him sleep in his little cot.
Yeah.
You know, and it's beautiful. The music, and it just sounds like one of those mobiles, like an infant thing. And it's just so touching and then so beautiful. And then Luke Skywalker's like, I'm better. I'm a Jedi. I'm better than you. And he's coming with me. And, you know, I've heard the argument of, well, Grogu said he wanted to go. But again, my life experience, I have kids who have lived in so many places. It's unimaginable and it's tragic, and it's so, I can't talk about it a lot, but that is their life. That is Grogu's life. Of course you just go. He doesn't understand what being in one place looks like, and neither did Din. Din didn't know what it was like to be in one place either until he met Grogu. They needed each other. Yeah. And that pompous, arrogant Luke Skywalker just took him. And I'm so mad. And I have not been able to let it go. I'm like, dude, this is what your father was doing. Everything was his. It was his. Padme was his. She was nobody else's. She wasn't even hers anymore. She was his. And Grogu is not yours just because of this. But then to see how that, I can't wait to learn more of that story and how that story leads to the Luke Skywalker we see in The Last Jedi, which I'm a big fan of. To me, that is the most, I was never a huge EU fan, mostly because of the treatment of Luke. I'm like, in Empire Strikes Back, Yoda says, once you go down a dark path, forever will dominate your destiny. That dude went down a dark path, and then it's like, poof. He never struggled with that stuff again. I'm like,
right.
But it's right there. As my dear friend Em would say, it's in the text. It's going to haunt him forever. And we meet him in The Last Jedi, and we see someone haunted by bad choices and what it does to you. And it's so amazing until he realizes, okay, that doesn't need, in the original trilogy, seeing the future defined who he was. And then we meet him in the sequel trilogy, and what he did defined who he was, because Luke never, ever learned the lesson of being where you are in that moment. And what you do next doesn't define what you did before. He never learned it until the very end of The Last Jedi, because he saw his nephew doing the same thing. And he's like, I cannot let this kid turn into what I turned into. And he stepped up, and it's amazing. And it was this beautiful close to Luke Skywalker's arc. So I'm really excited to see. I mean, I'm ticked off at him in The Mandalorian right now. I'm like, but it's great. It's such good storytelling.
Right.
You know, it's so good.
That's why I love how, and again, it's funny that people were like, oh, this is my Luke now. See him take down. I'm like, okay, cool. I get it. Everybody wants to see this guy in his prime, slicing down people and bringing out the laser sword. Okay, cool. I get it. But there's so much more, just like Brian, you were saying. He's a deep character that I don't think people understand. He's not going to be that way for his entire life. You're going to go through life experiences, and look where his life experiences, just like you said, it led him down that path, and he didn't learn. He didn't learn anything that Yoda told him. And he didn't until that moment Yoda came to him and was like, hey, remember when I told you this? Yeah, you might want to remember this now because you're going down this way. Yeah, I mean, and I know that's one of Andrea's favorite scenes in Last Jedi is Luke and Yoda.
Oh, I love it.
And it's great. It is. It's so powerful. Again, when you look at it in a deeper way, just like you were saying, Brian, like if you start from where we met Luke in, you know, A New Hope, and you go all the way through to The Last Jedi, it's an amazing storyline. Mm-hmm. And again, Mark Hamill's performance too. I don't think that gets talked about enough.
No.
In Last Jedi, like he's amazing in that movie, and he did so well. And you felt that though. You felt like what he went through was tragic, and it took Yoda to bring him back, and then for him to step up and be who he was supposed to be. So that's just Star Wars. That's good Star Wars storytelling, and people don't give it enough credit.
I agree. It's so great.
When people say that The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker is like character assassination, like I don't think they understand life. And I'm not trying to say like they're dumb, they don't get it, but that movie teaches you that from your failures is how you learn to address things throughout your life. It's not always going to be about victories. It's not always going to be about defeating the bad guy. It's going to be about losing and making the wrong decision and then coming out of that. And to not want to see your hero go through those struggles is confusing to me. Why do you constantly want to see someone win? I mean, why do you want to see that? It doesn't help me, because then when I fail, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But luckily, I've had people in my recent life teach me that when I do something wrong, or when I make the wrong decision, or something doesn't go my way, it's kind of funny. They call it a thing called a growth spurt, and I'm going to come out of it the other end even better. Yep. And I love that Rian Johnson brought that back into Star Wars. The Force Awakens, that was popcorn eating Star Wars. Thank you, J.J. Abrams. I loved it. But that story needed to grow, and it needed to give us a new hero, and it needed to give us a new struggle, and it needed to revisit the struggles of the heroes that we knew. And I think The Last Jedi did that, and I'm kind of disappointed that some people didn't see that. I mean, I'm not disappointed. I don't give a crap what those people think anymore.
Right.
I mean, I'm just happy that that movie teaches me lessons. I'm just happy that Star Wars came back into my adult life for me to learn from. I think that's absolutely awesome.
Yep.
So when I came out of the theater for The Force Awakens, my God, I was like, woo! Like, my God, this is Star Wars again. Oh my God. Because I hated the prequel so much. Yep. And then to get a Star Wars that I fell in love with again, man, that movie was about a feeling. And then the next movie was about learning and seeing things in a different light. And then the last movie was unfortunately about disappointment. It really was. I can watch it. I have fun watching Rey, Poe, Finn, BB-8, Kylo Ren, Ben Solo. I have fun watching all of that stuff. But there is just a level of disappointment I feel when I do watch that movie. But I still can enjoy it. I think I'm supposed to not like that movie, but I don't know what it is.
Let me check the notes on Twitter, and I don't think you're supposed to. Not supposed to like, Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. It's like a thing, apparently.
But the sequel trilogy, it really was. It had all of Star Wars in there for me, which I appreciate. It had popcorn eating Star Wars. It had, encyclopedia of knowledge. Let me wrap my brain around this Star Wars. It was great. I would never change it. I would never want it to be changed. I appreciate it for what it is. It got my kids reinvigorated into Star Wars again. It got me reinvigorated into Star Wars again. And it continues to live on. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so funny when you were speaking, Andrea. It just made me think of a scene in The Last Jedi that I don't think I've ever thought about this way. But you were just speaking how we needed to see our old heroes going through something. And I think about that shot with Leia right after, they were attacked and they jump into hyperspace. And she's just sitting there in the silence, right? And they come out of hyperspace and there's a shot on on some jar or something shaking. And she is so steadfast. And it just was like this perfect painting of Leia, how her reality and everything around her is so fragile and chaotic. And she doesn't feel like she can be that way. Like she has to be steadfast for everybody. And I never literally like looked at it. I don't know what you said, but it's such a beautiful moment with her. And that's something that TLJ gives us, are these tiny, beautiful moments.
My favorite Leia moment in The Last Jedi is when her and Rey are sitting there in the Millennium Falcon and Rey's just holding the pieces of the lightsaber and Leia just says, we have everything we need. I say I have everything I need all the time to myself when I feel like I am not in control of the things that I should be in control of. I truly do have everything I need to be able to achieve this day. And it's not just Leia's voice I hear saying that to me. You know, I have a really great mentor that kind of gut checks me like all the time on everything. And she says that to me all the time. Man, you have everything you need. You have everything and she doesn't even watch Star Wars. And she says it blows my mind. But that is my favorite Leia moment. And just like you said, things unravel around her all the time. And she is that one piece that holds it all together. And I love that that's how Rian Johnson portrayed her in Star Wars.
Yep. Yeah, Leia is that character that we all achieve to be, but none of us can ever get there. Like she is like the one character who is unreal, if that makes sense. Like, but she is what we should all, I love that character so much. And I think that was where it was hard with The Rise of Skywalker. And for me, it's fun, and it's a sequel to The Force Awakens, which I hear that argument all the time on Twitter, and I don't agree with it. I do think that they addressed a lot of what happened in TLJ, but it went back to just kind of a surface level popcorn. We got to close this, and you can't follow what happened in The Last Jedi with that. Like, and to bring it back to Return of the Jedi, like one of the things that I love about Return of the Jedi, you know, A New Hope is kind of a popcorn flick too. Like there's some stuff there, but it's just kind of fun. And, you know, it could have ended right there and we would have had a complete movie. But then, and again, why anyone was surprised by Rian Johnson's take on let's adjust everything. Well, The Empire Strikes Back is a 180 from what Star Wars did, and it challenged what Star Wars could be because of Empire Strikes Back, because of the Clone Wars. Don't ever give me The Force Awakens. For me, don't ever give me The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. I want to be challenged every single time now because I can be challenged. And The Rise of Skywalker it was not an emotional sequel to The Last Jedi. Like it didn't hit hard with anything. It sped through everything so fast, and it didn't give me an emotional close, I guess, to the sequel trilogy at large. It gave me a beautiful, amazing emotional close to Rey.
But it didn't give me sped through the
it's so disappointing. It really did.
It's just one of those movies that I think people will talk about and just, you know, they're going to have their opinions on for sure, but you know, it's a matter of how you want to portray that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be angry about it, but like, Andrew, like, where does that go? Like, where does that take you? It takes you nowhere. You know, it doesn't take you anywhere for being and talking about it all the time like the Phantom Menace does. Like, just constantly bashing. It does nothing. But, you know, to find those themes that you hold dear to it, that's you know, that's what you can do. And that's the best way to do it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've learned from podcasting. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, like I never had a Star Wars community before this. Really, it was just my thing, and I went through the world. I had a toy hunting buddy in high school, but that was kind of it. And what I've learned is how many different kinds of Star Wars fans there are, and it's something that I've been very excited to have in my life this last few years, and a few years that we didn't know in 2019 what 2020 was going to look like. We didn't know how 2021 was going to start. And for me, Star Wars is always there. It's there in a way that I didn't think I needed it to be. And it comes back every time I need it. And I learn something new from it to get me through whatever is going on. And, you know, I think I've learned that about myself in this, that is my way to emotionally connect to something. But I've also learned that in doing this, that I love these kinds of conversations because I myself am interested in the emotional connections that people have with Star Wars. It's trivia stuff. That's all cool. I love to talk about special effects. It's great. Like, it's fun. But I want to know how people connect. Like, Star Wars is about finding a family and found connections between people who would, if there was not X thing, would have never come into each other's lives. And like, through a podcast, through whatever, you can find people and connect with them in ways that you never would have otherwise. And it's something that I'm really, really appreciative of, that I didn't think would happen from a podcast. Like, I didn't remotely anticipate that. There was one tweet that I got earlier on, and it literally has changed me. I mean, the roundtables that we did, I'm so proud of them. They fundamentally changed me as a human being. Like, they were so important to me. But I got a tweet once that from a parent who said, I am so glad that I found your podcast because my daughter is a lesbian and I've always supported her. But now you are showing me her a part of her life that I myself never would have been able to understand. And she can't talk to me about those things, but I listen to your show and I feel closer to her. And it's like,
yeah,
that's huge.
It was amazing. It was I was like, oh, this is what Star Wars is. Mm-hmm. There is subtext to this text that we talk about on mic that is there. And that is like fundamental. And it was just at this moment, I was like, oh, and it made me step up my game a little bit. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this is really, really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
So we talked about it a little bit, but what are some things that the podcast brought the two of you that you weren't necessarily anticipating?
I think it is the friendships, to be honest. Like, I think it's just knowing people enjoy this thing that you have enjoyed your entire life. And like, kind of like you were saying, Brian, felt that there's nobody else like around you that could like enjoy it with you, but there was. And, you know, joining this, you know, specifically the podcasting community, there's just a ton of people out there. Like, it blows my mind still to think of like how many people I've met because of this. You know, like, I mean, obviously Andrea and I have gotten even closer because of this whole podcasting thing. You know, we've met people like yourself that are just huge Star Wars fans, but are like amazing human beings. Like, it doesn't like, it goes beyond just like, oh yeah, you like Star Wars, I like Star Wars. But then you get to know these people, you know, by talking to them and doing all that. And it's just like, there's so many great people out there that without Star Wars, I would have never met and I wouldn't be friends with. And that, you know, to kind of think about it in that way, I'm just like, man, that kind of sucks if I did it because, you know, I wouldn't know these people. And I'm glad, you know, Andrea and I really took that leap and did this podcast because honestly, you know, when we were going to do it, like, we even questioned ourselves. We're like, yeah, but who would listen? You know, when my brother told us that we should do this, like, he's the one that was like, you guys need to do a podcast because he was, you know, he always listened to our, you know, our talks during family reunions or family get-togethers, whatever. And he was the one that kind of just said, you guys need to do it. And, you know, we really thought about it and we finally did it. And, you know, honestly, I was like, who's really going to listen to us? Like, who's, you know, it's because that is the question that when you start this, you're like, you know, yeah, it's going to be fun. Like, me and Andrew are going to have fun doing it regardless, but like, who's going to listen? But then in reality, it doesn't matter who's going to listen because the people that will enjoy it will find it. And then, you know, that's all that matters. That's all that matters in the end. And that, for me personally, it took me a while because to realize that, like, it doesn't matter the numbers. Like, the numbers, you know, we could have thousands and thousands of listeners, great reviews and all that stuff, but it's how those people connect with us and why they like coming and listening to our show. That's what matters to me, that we do this because we are doing it for the love of Star Wars. And that's what we want to portray. And that's kind of where, you know, that for me, that's why that's what I've learned. And this is what I love. You know, I enjoy doing this podcast with Andrea and again, with meeting new friends. It's been a lot of fun. It's been tons of fun.
Yeah. How about for you?
I like that I've learned that I say the word a lot.
Phenomenal. You say phenomenal.
I like saying phenomenal, fantastic. It was amazing. I loved it. I learned that I have a very low vocabulary. No, I'm just kidding. But those are things. Those are things you're like when you're editing. You're like, God, who would listen to this? Absolutely horrible.
It's really funny. Like I listened to one of our early, like what was our very first episode, and it's just like funny, like how we were so excited to do it, and we had a lot of fun doing it. But like listen to that, and then listen to like our last episodes. I'm like, oh my God, people were listening to us back then.
Right.
Like, this is crazy.
But it's weird. It doesn't feel like we've changed who we are.
No, you're
I guess
right,
we've just changed our delivery and knowing how to be a little bit more professional about it. But yeah, the connections that we've made with people, and you know, Lauren and I's relationship has grown stronger, so that's absolutely great with that. I say absolutely a lot. I say phenomenal, amazing. You know,
100%.
100%.
I say fair a lot. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. I should just wear a t-shirt and just be like, yeah, that's
But
fair.
when I'm editing, oh my God, I'm like, I don't know if I can keep doing this because I just sound like, you know, when you're just, it's repeating. You're like, God, who listens to this?
Yeah, I think, I just got a text from Mark the other day, maybe yesterday. I'm listening. He was at a virtual beer tasting event.
Oh my God.
And I got this text message saying the guy teaching this, holding the beer tasting thing keeps saying 100%. It's literally like all 100%. I should make a blooper reel of just 100% because I'm with you. My vocabulary must be like 15 words. Yeah. And my thoughts on Star Wars must be like 5 because I think I talk about the same 5 things all the time.
That sounds about right for us too.
But it works.
It works.
Right. People listen. It's fun.
Yeah, those 5 people that listen to Pink Milk, they enjoy those 5 things. You know, like, that's what it is. So, this is something that I have been doing with the end of all of our guests this year in 2021. After 2020, I decided to bring this into the show. We do this every night at our dinner table. We say our berry mantra. And so the 5 of us sit around our table and say, we are berries, we support each other, and we have fun. And I am thankful for. And we all go around the table, right? So everyone who is on this year, we are saying our Pink Milk mantra. We are Star Wars fans, we support each other, and we have fun. I think, especially after the first half of this podcast episode, like, it is important to remember that we are Star Wars fans, we support each other, and we have fun.
Yes.
And all of us should remember at least one thing every day to be grateful for because it makes the next day a lot easier. So, Lauren, I want to start with you. Okay. We are Star Wars fans, we support each other, we have fun, and I am grateful for.
Man. I think I'm just grateful. Like, I'm just grateful for just.
You gotta say the mantra.
Yeah.
Oh,
mantra.
yeah. Okay. So I gotta say the mantra. Okay. So I'm a Star Wars fan. So I'm a Star Wars fan. What
we are Star Wars fans.
We are Star Wars fans. We support each other. And I am thankful for.
And we have fun.
Oh, we have fun. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So we're Star Wars fans. We have fun. And what was the other part?
We support each other.
We support each other. Okay. Yeah. So I think we could probably edit that all together, right, Brian? Okay. So the mantra. But I am very thankful for being a part of this Star Wars community, honestly. I mean, because I wouldn't have met you, Brian. Me and Andrea wouldn't be, I think our relationship has really grown. Mm-hmm. And we just wouldn't have been meeting these fantastic people within this fandom. I mean, really, 99.9% of the fandom is awesome. And let's just be honest with it. It is. They're amazing. So I am very grateful for meeting people that enjoy Star Wars like I do and just have fun with it and just love the franchise that they have grown up with since they were kids. So that's what I'm thankful for.
Awesome. I love it. Andrew, do we need to go through this again? Do you know the mantra?
Write it down, Andrea, because I probably should have.
We are Star Wars fans. We support each other. We have fun. And I am very grateful for the Star Wars podcasting community. Hands down. That's, just like Lauren said, that's where we go to feel comfortable, the friends that we have found in this community. So, and I'm grateful for Star Wars. Grateful for George Lucas. Grateful for Yoda.
I love it. All right. We are Star Wars fans. We support each other. We have fun. And I am very grateful for this conversation. And I'm super grateful that Andrea painted a picture that gave me this new look on TLJ with Leia. I'm very thankful for that. I can't wait to start watching some of that. So, ladies, where can everyone find you?
Well, first of all, Brian, thank you for having
Brian,
us on.
thanks.
This was so much fun. I love just talking Star Wars. Like it's just fun. This is why we do this.
All day, every day.
All day.
Isn't that what you say on your podcast bio, right? All day, every day.
All day, every day, pretty much. But yeah, they can find our show, Galactic Podcast, on Apple Pod, Google Play, Spotify, pretty much any platform. We should be on there. Follow us on Twitter at the Galactic Pod. That's where we are at. We don't have any other social media besides that. And then you can follow me, Lauren Romo, at Loro Knows on Twitter and Instagram.
You can follow me, Andrea Gutierrez, at R2D Two-Step on Twitter. But I'm in a little bit of a boycott right now on Star Wars Twitter. I'm in the BTS Twitterverse.
Oh, I'm learning all. I work for a record store by day, like a record company thing, store chain, whatever. I can't ever say it. Anyways, we do lots of K-pop stuff now. And BTS
so great.
is
so fun.
I think it's BTS. We just got all these little like paper doll things that came in for giveaways or something. I don't know. Nice. Anyways, all their links will be in the show notes below, so make sure to check them out there, whether or not you're on YouTube or listen to us on your podcatcher. But until next time, thank you very, very, very much for coming. This is really, really wonderful. And if you're not listening to the GALactic podcast, you should be, because they're better than we are. So hop on over there and give it a listen.
Stop.
All right, drink up.
And I am back. Was that not an absolutely fantastic conversation? I'm telling you, I'm just so thrilled. It was so much fun. I have to say thank you, ladies, for spending some time with me and hanging out, talking Star Wars. Because just like you, I can talk Star Wars all day, every day. So hopefully, listeners, you enjoyed that just as much as I did. I'm sure you did. If you weren't able to catch their socials, make sure to head down to the show notes below and follow them on Twitter, and make sure to subscribe to their podcast on your podcatcher of choice. And while you're there, if your podcatcher of choice is Apple, make sure to leave us a review, and that really helps get our voice out to more folks. And all of those things, you know, we love people to hear our show. That's why we do this. We love all of you listening. So if you like it, your friends or your followers will probably like it too. So let's share the joy. Share the joy. And if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube or stopped by for the live streams, do that. It's so much fun. Late night on Friday nights, Mark, M, and I talk Star Wars queerly, where we take deep dives into all of the things that we love in this galaxy far, far away. In that chat, I will never stop bragging about how wonderful our chat room is. Like, there's a good amount of people that come week after week, and they too have formed their own little like family. And they're super supportive, and it's so awesome. And I would love to see that grow, because there's so many people there. And to all of our Twitter followers and the listeners there, I know we spoke a lot about social media, and there is a lot of stuff in social media that's hard to deal with. But I am so incredibly thankful to all of our listeners, all of our followers, that chat room, for the support you've given me and given Tom. And now you've extended that support to Emma and Mark. It's so amazing. The retweets, the tweets, that stuff's all great. I love to get, you know, more numbers. But what I really, really love is the DMs and the messages and the threads of real conversation that happens. And I'm just so happy that that happened. I could not have even anticipated that at the slightest when we started this a little over a year ago. So I have to say thank you. On the social media front, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at servingpinkmilk. Head on over to YouTube and find Pink Milk Podcast. Subscribe and like. Do all the smashing that you do on YouTube and all that stuff. And until next time, I cannot wait to talk to you. So with that, it's time. Drink up. Bye.